He has already decided to leave. It's 5:14 in the morning, June 6th, 1944. Major Werner Pluskat has been standing at this observation slit for 4 hours, staring at a stretch of black water that has done absolutely nothing. His eyes are dry. His coffee is cold. For 8 months, this stretch of French coast has produced exactly one thing: silence. He lowers his binoculars. He turns to go. Then, for no reason he will ever fully explain, he stops and raises them one last time. The horizon has changed. Rewind. 6 hours. Werner Pluskat is 32 years old, a battalion commander in the 352nd Artillery Regiment. By June of 1944, he knows one kind of misery better than anyone: waiting for something that never comes. His guns are dug into the bluffs above a beach the Germans have given a plain military name: Widerstandsnest 59. The Allies will later call it something else: Omaha. 6 155mm howitzers, dug in and aimed, more than capable of reaching the water below and the open channel beyond it. For months, Field Marshal Rommel has pushed his men hard, pouring concrete, planting steel obstacles, burying mines by the 100,000, building what Berlin calls the Atlantic Wall. Pluskat's own guns are aimed, ranged, and ready to fire. His crews have run the same drills so many times they could do them half asleep. And most nights, they are half asleep, because after 2 years of waiting, hardly anyone still believes the invasion is real. Every soldier on this coast has stopped believing it will ever come. Tonight, June 5th, Pluskat has dinner with his fellow officers at the chateau 3 miles inland that serves as his headquarters. They drink a little wine. Someone jokes that the Allies are too smart to invade in weather like this. The channel has been rough for 2 days. The forecast is bad. By midnight, Pluskat is asleep. He won't stay that way for long. At 0100 hours, just past midnight, the drone starts. Aircraft engines, low and continuous, more of them than a normal bombing run would need. Pluskat picks up the phone and calls his regimental commander, Lieutenant Colonel Ocker. Just an air raid, Ocker tells him. Go back to sleep. He almost does. 20 minutes later, the phone rings again, and this time Ocker's voice has changed. Reports are coming in of parachutes, hundreds of them, dropping behind the coastal defenses, cutting phone lines, seizing crossroads in the dark. Sound the alarm. Get to your post. Pluskat throws on his uniform, grabs 2 of his officers, Captain Wilkening and Lieutenant Thien, and the 3 men race toward the coast in an open Kubelwagen. Headlights off, tracer fire flickering somewhere to the east, where paratroopers of the American 1st Airborne are already fighting for their lives in the hedgerows. When Pluskat reaches his bunker above the beach, everything looks exactly like it always does. Quiet, undisturbed. The guns are silent. The beach obstacles sit untouched in the moonlight. Nothing seems to be happening at all. He could leave. His men clearly have things under control. There's nothing to see here. Which brings us back to 5:14 in the morning, and a pair of binoculars he's already lowering. He raises them again, and the sea itself seems to be moving. Not waves, ships. He adjusts the focus. Sure, his tired eyes are playing tricks on him, but the horizon keeps resolving into shapes. Battleships, cruisers, destroyers, transport after transport after transport, stretching from one edge of his vision to the other. He will spend the rest of his life trying to describe this moment. He'll never quite manage it. The closest he ever comes is this. It looked like the entire ocean had turned into a city, and that city was sailing straight toward him. His hands are shaking so badly he can barely dial the phone. Division headquarters doesn't believe him. How many ships? They ask. He tells them, and hears the disbelief on the other end. The assumption that a tired officer has simply lost count in the dark. Someone asks him, almost mockingly, which direction the fleet is heading. Straight at me, he says. He isn't exaggerating. of every German officer stationed along 50 miles of Norman coastline. Werner Pluskat's small stretch of bluff sits almost dead center of the invasion. In a few minutes, the war is going to arrive at his front door. Specifically, at 5:50, the fleet answers his phone call in the only language it speaks. The first naval shells come screaming in like freight trains. And the bluffs erupt. Pluskat's bunker takes hit after hit. The observation scope cracks, and for a moment, he can't see anything at all. Dust rains down from the ceiling. But somehow, almost unbelievably, the phone line survives every hit. He keeps reporting, even as the walls shake around him. His guns fire back. 6 field howitzers, dug into the hillside, open up on the fleet. For every shell his battery sends out, roughly 50 come back. Then, around 6:30, as the first landing craft pushed toward shore, his guns switch targets and open fire on the boats themselves at 2,000 meters. It's not nothing. German shells help sink several landing craft in the rough channel swells before they even reach the sand. And mines buried on the beach tear through the first waves of American soldiers. But for every craft his guns managed to destroy, 10 more push forward to take its place. Machine gun nests along the bluffs, including one young gunner, later nicknamed the Beast of Omaha, for the sheer amount of fire he poured onto the beach, raked the shoreline, and pinned the Americans down behind the seawall. To soldiers on both sides, it feels like it lasts forever. Ammunition is the thing nobody planned for. Pluskat's crews load and fire, and somewhere in the middle of the morning, the math turns against them. Shells are running low. Resupply is impossible. Every road is cratered or cut off by the same paratroopers who dropped hours earlier to make sure exactly this would happen. By 7:30, Pluskat is doing the math himself. They've been firing for over an hour, and at this rate, they'll be out of shells in 30 minutes. One gun falls silent, then another. His bunker is battered, cracked, and choked with smoke and dust. And somehow, astonishingly, nobody inside has died. By the time the Americans start climbing off the beach, Pluskat has 2 guns left, and fewer than 40 shells between them. By late morning, small groups of American soldiers are already climbing up through the gaps in the bluffs, using explosive charges to knock out one German position after another. The beach that was supposed to be impossible to cross is being crossed anyway, one desperate yard at a time. Omaha Beach becomes the bloodiest stretch of sand on D-Day, for exactly the reason Pluskat's guns were built to guarantee, and it very nearly works. For a few hours that morning, American commanders genuinely think the landing might fail. It doesn't. By nightfall, the beach the Germans were ordered to hold at any cost belongs to the Allies, and Pluskat's division has paid for every yard of resistance with men it can't replace. The 352nd Infantry Division alone counts more than 1,200 men, killed, wounded, or captured, in the first 12 hours of fighting. Pluskat survives the day. In fact, he survives almost the entire war that follows, retreating with what's left of his command as German-occupied France collapses around him, and finally surrendering to American troops in the last chaotic days of the war in the spring of 1945. After the war, journalist Cornelius Ryan goes looking for the German side of D-Day for his book The Longest Day, and Werner Pluskat gives him exactly what he's looking for. A first-person account of the single most dramatic moment of the entire invasion, told by the one man who can say he saw it before anyone else. It becomes the defining German perspective on D-Day, told in Ryan's book, then shown on screen in the 1962 film, with Pluskat himself working as a consultant on set. But there's one complication most documentaries leave out. Years later, German soldiers who served under Pluskat men who were actually on that beach fighting for their lives, claimed that when the invasion began, nobody could find him at his post at all. Did he really reach the bunker minutes before the fleet appeared, or hours later? Did the famous last look through the binoculars happen exactly the way he always told it? Or did the story grow a little more dramatic each time, over 15 years of retelling? Nobody left alive can say for certain. What isn't in question is what happened after that phone call. The guns, the bombardment, the beach that was supposed to be unbreakable and wasn't. Werner Pluskat died in 2002, still remembered as the German officer who watched the end of the war arrive on the horizon before anyone else in his army knew it was coming.